What you said earlier, so many folks are not, their score of emotional intelligence is not at the bar to sometimes allow, which is so unfortunate. So I feel like one of those things that even just like, not just even teaching kids, teaching adults, like even as being a role model and trying to show it in your own actions. Like sometimes we just have to, I just tell my mentees and my little interns all the time, I'm like, pause. It's okay to pause.
Yeah.
Take a pause and assess. Stop, assess. Pay attention to everything. Because if you just react, it might spiral in the direction of you not getting the message received that you want to receive.
And then you're going to make it worse and you can't take it back.
You cannot take it back.
You can't undo what's done, you know?
I say it often. I think I told him something. I was like, I'm so glad I didn't hear that from whoever, because I was like, that would have replayed in my mind. And then when that kind of stuff happened, that's where you end up having to be like, okay, is this relationship important to me or not? Yeah. But people do that, especially as we get older. That's why people probably get older and don't have people, because they started chopping them off as they started realizing. And it's like, okay, now I got my core people, but if your core people end up leaving before you,
then what? Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably why I think it's also important to like try to have conflict resolution sometimes. Like it's not good to just always chop everybody.
And here's the thing, like conflict isn't always negative. Like I don't know why we think conflict is literally a disagreement, right? It's literally we don't agree. Conflict doesn't mean we gotta fight about it. It just means we need to have, but a lot of people I'm learning don't know how to talk, because you know how you learn how to communicate? Your household.
Yes.
So my mom didn't communicate, right? Yeah. And so I had to learn to communicate as I got older. So I was very, very quiet. I used to let everything slide. If anything bothered me, I just didn't say nothing about it because I didn't want any type of confrontation, because my mom was very confrontational. Mom would have no problem going off on nobody, no matter where we were. And I just didn't like that, but I never learned how to like express, hey, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Without being fearful that somebody's gonna cuss me out. Because like if somebody said my mom didn't like something, she was going off. Yeah. And so I had a fear of that my whole life. And then when you get older, you realize people who value relationships don't talk to you like
that. They do not.
Because they value your relationship. Yeah. You know, but when
you get chopped.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. So like I had to learn as I got older, like boundaries. I struggled a long time with boundaries because I was a people pleaser, because I was afraid of confrontation, because that's the household I grew up in. Right? Yeah. So like when people grow up in chaotic households, they either gonna be chaotic themselves, or they're gonna just be like overly nice and overly people pleasing because they don't want that conflict. Correct. Or you'll have people who don't care at all, right? Because everybody in your household has a role, right? When you're growing up, and your role determines the type of attention you get. So because we all need attention. Like human interaction is necessary for your life. Like you just like necessary. Like you have to have, like babies. Everybody has been around a baby. They will fake cry till somebody pick them up and then be happy, right? Because they're longing for that human interaction, that human touch. They don't like to be left alone. Yeah. And so like I've learned as I got older, like my interactions didn't have to end in conflict. And I valued people. If there's people that I really liked, I had to learn to just be like, I don't like that you did that. Please don't be mad. And they'd be like, why would I be mad? I just won't do it. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, that's simple.
That's it. Right, you know, I was like, that's it. I was prepped for, I went over in my head, okay, they're going to say this, but you got to say this, you got to say, I done planned the whole thing out.
And it'll be 2 seconds.
Listen, my best friend in the whole, the closest person on earth to me, Millie, she was my roommate freshman year at college. Okay, Millie. That's my girl for like, that's my family for real. Yeah, and she used to argue with her boyfriend. And we tell this story all the time. She used to argue with him all types of day and night. And I used to be like, oh my God. And it'd be like midnight and I'd be ready to go to bed and she just up hollering. So I remember one day I was just not in the mood to hear it. So in my head, I had prepped myself. Like when she get on the phone with him tonight, I'm saying this. And if she say this, I'm asking for a new roommate. I was ready to just be like, give me somebody else. And so I remember she was arguing with him and I just sat up and looked at her And she goes, I'm loud, huh? And I was like, you are. She said, girl, let me tell you what he did. And she starts telling me what he did. Yeah. And then I was like, girl, what? We had it went a completely different way. And then she was like, I'm sorry, I know I be loud, but he just be doing this. She's like, but I can go in the hallway. I don't have to be in here. And I was so blown away. I was like, I just knew we was going to argue. I was waiting for her to talk to me how she be talking to me.
No, but she knew. Like, I'm only doing this because he getting on my nerves, but I shouldn't do it to get on your nerves.
Yeah, right. But it's like, we anticipate the worst out of people.
Yeah.
So, like, I learned to not do that, too. Like, you know, like, as you go, because I was very fearful of, like, negative interactions. Like, I really was, like, because my mom she was with it left and right. And it was just like, oh, my God. And I don't want nobody thinking of me that way either. I don't want nobody to not want to be around me. And so, like, but now that I'm older, it's just like, I'm going to tell you what I don't like. Either you accept that, and if you don't, then this is not a relationship that I need to continue. I'm going to go nurture somewhere else.
Nurture somewhere else. Because there's so many people in the world. Like, that was a light bulb moment, because I also think this is relative, not just to personal relationships, but professional relationships too. We had a light bulb moment years ago at this company I was working at, and I was struggling like 2.5 years worth of just foolishness, right? Every day was something foolish. And I was like, this didn't feel normal, because I had just came from same company, different team, that it was perfect for 2.5 years. And I remember this lady coming in. I look at her as kind of like a mentor, because she was an executive and a woman of color. So I was like, okay, somebody I could talk to every now and then. And she happened to be visiting where my office was, and she walked up on me like, hey. And I guess the way I turned around and was like, because by then it was written all over my face at all times, like, I do not like being here. And she was like, oh, what's wrong? And I was like, and she said, girl, she literally like left executive mode and went to black girl mode. She said, girl, if you don't go work for one of these other 1,000 of aerospace companies,
right, you don't have to be.
You don't have to.
Right.
And I was like, and literally, I felt the light bulb go off on my head and the weight removed from my shoulders. Like, there is a path forward. Like, I don't have to deal with it. And granted, I know my love's probably looking at me like, I know I've been told you that. But, you know, sometimes you got to hear it so many times. And then once you realize, like, no, like, you have a choice.
Yeah.
People have a choice. Like you said, they're not going to mess with you. But they still have a choice to mess with you. And you can know that sometimes your delivery, especially if you're being thoughtful with it, like you were, like, they're probably not going to choose the abort. They're going to choose to, okay, there's another solution because I value the relationship. Right. Or in that case, I value this employee, I value this job, either way, on both ends, right? Yeah. But when it's not there on both sides, it's probably okay to sever the ties and go be with somebody that celebrates you.
Yeah. And then when you go to that new place, you get new relationships. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
and nourish those.
Yeah, just not being afraid of creating new relationships. Yes. You know what I mean? I think that that's important because I've moved a lot. So I have to be able to make relationships. Yeah.
Wanna see Welcome to the world of Kia. We get to see everybody in my world.